Hello, my name is Rich Brock. This is our second podcast, and we have one of our favorite clients here, Tony and Melissa, and we're here to discuss their experience with BedBrock in their home, and I have a few Q&A questions for you. So welcome, and thank you really for being here.
Happy to be here.
So I believe it's been a couple of years that you've been in your home now. You moved here from Philly. It was a brand new experience. Like, it's Arizona. You found this house. How's it been so far living in your BedBrock home?
It's been absolutely amazing. I didn't realize I would love living in the desert so much. Our plan was never to move to Arizona. We sort of fell into it, and I love everything about it. I love the home. I love the details of the home, the community that we live in. That's a BedBrock community. We're really, really thrilled with everything about it.
As Melissa said, we didn't intend on living here year round. We have a place down in the Caymans. We planned on spending 4, 5, 6 months there, a couple months in Pennsylvania, a little bit of time out here. But now we're drawn to here. There's nothing like waking up in the morning and seeing the sunrise here and stepping outside, doing the indoor-outdoor living, and taking an appreciation for how lucky we are, not only to be in Paradise Valley, but to be in a BedBrock product. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't walk around that house and see something that I appreciate.
Fantastic.
We truly are grateful every day for the home that we live in.
I want to jump right into this because our relationship is really unique, as we've got to know each other. And, you're a client and you live in one of our homes. We built a home for you guys, but you also became an investor. So I want to know, what was the transition for you and why did you decide to go from client to investor?
So we've always been interested in doing real estate. But finding out what laying in what that meant was very difficult for us over the years. When we first bought here, the intention was to build a spec home, rent it out for a few years, wait for it to double in value. So my wife will get into later probably some of the whys, how that changed, but it opened my eyes to a different type of construction, something that I wasn't used to before from a quality craftsmanship perspective. As we moved out here and got to know the market a little bit, we just saw a ton of opportunity here. And the biggest roadblock to us in the past, not doing real estate, was not having someone we trusted to partner with. Working with BedBrock to build this home, seeing the process firsthand, getting to live in the home, seeing the follow-up to the finished product and the attention to detail gave us a pretty good comfort level with the company. And so, we sat down, we had drinks, we talked about opportunities. You shared with us a plethora of opportunities within your portfolio. It felt right because we had a trust. We knew the quality of the product. We knew that you stood behind the product. So we didn't have to worry about those types of things. We haven't regretted it for a second. It's been a fun ride so far. I can't wait to do more of it.
Ditto to that. I feel the exact same way about you guys, and very fortunate to have met you and working with you now going forward in the future. As an investor, what do you see behind the scenes that reinforces your belief in the company?
We're getting a much better appreciation of the planning and the level of detail that goes into a build. Watching it as novices before we were investors with you, it was just a fun process to watch, to see something go from dirt to a finished product. But then as an investor, to see all the work that goes behind the scenes, the financial modeling, the planning with the project manager, the coordination, the details with the architect and landscaping. I had no real understanding of just how much work went into something before we ever put a shovel in the ground, let alone once the shovel goes in the ground, all the pivots that need to come up, just real world life challenges that have to be overcome, and how well the communication process is through that.
It's interesting that you answered the question that way, because my next question really ties into that. What do most people not realize that goes into building at this level? And I think you're talking about behind the scenes. You now see the curtains open. You can see how complex it is to build a home. I always tell people it is really hard to build these homes at this level. There's so much detail. And now you're involved and you understand that.
I believe that. I remember when we were building our home, we were living on the East Coast, so we would periodically come visit and see the changes that had been made. And we came shortly after the electrical wiring had been completed, and it was mind-boggling the number of wires that were all pooling in one location that all had a specific purpose. And the team knew exactly which wire went for what and tied it accurately into the electrical box. It had to be miles of wiring, cables, all the different things. I never thought about that before. I turned the light on and the light goes on. I didn't think about the process that it takes, the plan that needed to occur, and then the implementation of that plan accurately to get to the finished product. So the complexity at every level is just amazing.
So now that you have all this information, if someone is sitting on the fence about building or investing with us, what would you tell them?
100% do it. Our experience at every level has been phenomenal. It's not that everything has been perfect, because with a process like construction, it's not going to be, but anytime there was an issue or a challenge, it was dealt with, it was handled professionally, respectfully, quickly. We didn't have any time where we second guessed working with you, both building our personal home and now on the other side of it as investors. We are completely trusting in the process because of our experience with it.
Great, fantastic. I want to get a little bit now diving a little bit into the home. What details do we care about that you didn't even think about to ask for?
So I think the easy answer there is, because we didn't know what we didn't know, I don't think there was a lot of questions that we even begin to think about. And maybe if I can start at the end and maybe work backwards, right? So one of the things that surprised me, having built other homes that we lived in over the years in different areas, it's been a very different process here. From the time we settled, perfect example is punch lists. We're used to walking through the property and what doesn't look right, what obviously doesn't look right, what maybe doesn't look right, making our own list, and then hoping the builder gets to that timely and gets it fixed. With BedBrock, we walked in and our project manager already had a 3-page list of very minute things that we would have never even noticed, but his eye caught it. It wasn't perfect, and therefore it needed to be fixed. And not only did it need to be fixed, it needed to be fixed efficiently, documented and communicated. So I was blown away with, after delivery, the follow through and the commitment to the product that was out there.
It's great.
And then if I just kind of back that up throughout, I think the communication throughout, whether it was good communication that was positive about what's happening, or a timeline slippage for some reason and it wasn't positive, the communication was still there. And that level of communication is not something we were used to in a build in the past.
This leads to this, it's a follow-on question. What details or features set this home apart?
I think there's a ton of them. One, the indoor-outdoor feel and how the materials work together and complement each other. That was very new to us, and it's something we look at every day to this day and appreciate it. The concept then of what goes into a home to make it have that kind of flow. The types of windows and doors that are like nothing I've ever seen before. And the ability to just push a button and have an entire wall of windows open up seamlessly, right? Not an easy thing to engineer and pull off. To the mix of materials, the wood on the ceiling, the stone that goes from floor to ceiling, the way you bring in light into all the different rooms. It's not just a skylight sitting up there.
I would like to add to that. Tony alluded to this point earlier. We bought this home intending to rent it out and then to sell it. We didn't buy it. We didn't start the build with the intention of having this as our home. So when we started the process, we were presented with the floor layout, the interior design plan, the landscape plan, and for most of it, we just said, sure, that looks great. We didn't make a significant number of changes. The original design had 4 garage doors. We changed that so that we had 2 large doors instead of 4 small ones, and we moved the AV room. But the home as it sits now is basically what the architect and BedBrock builders conceptualized. It was all with a mind to the fitting it into the environment perfectly. So our backyard perfectly frames the mountains behind it based on the orientation, the exact orientation of the house, the exact placement of the windows. So everything about it was thought through to the end, to what it will look like at the end. So when we bought, we were standing on a dirt lot figuring, we don't know where the kitchen's going to be, but we were thinking, hopefully we can see the mountain from our bedroom, and hopefully each,
Hopefully
and
executed the right way.
hopefully they thought of that. Well, everything was thought of, and everything was
Attention to detail.
attention to detail, and the things that we didn't even realize we would have wanted were already thought of and built into the plan, built into the layout and the orientation and the build.
So we matched the rendering.
You exceeded the rendering with the turn of the wall. It's not a straight lot with a straight home. It's built exactly to frame the window to the mountain.
You guys were living in Philly
Yes.
and another vacation home, so you were traveling quite a bit. And then we were executing on this home. We were building the home for you. And you were here pretty much quarterly, correct? Yeah. So how was that experience for you? Like, knowing that we're building a home, you're not here, you're showing up, we got more done. How did you feel about the whole experience?
I was actually concerned about that process, because building any home that we had built in the past, we would visit all the time and notice that they didn't do that quite right. They need to fix it, or, maybe we should have added a window here. Let's put one in. And so for us to go for long stretches without having our eyes on the construction was concerning, because it might be too late to make a change, or something might be done that we didn't really like or wanted to change our minds about. But the process was so smooth. The updates that we got, I believe they were weekly, very detailed updates about exactly what had happened, what went wrong, what's coming up, pictures of things, made it so pleasant to deal with, even though we were 5 hours away. It really helped us throughout the whole process to have a comfort level with what we were going to be getting at the end.
So, now you're in the home. We've evolved, right? Your relationship with me has evolved with our team. Tell us how you feel about where you're at with us as a company supporting your product, our product, your home. How do you feel about where you're at today with us?
So I feel we're in a very, very good spot. One of the things that we've never been exposed to in the other homes we've owned is a concierge type of service. When we bought here, our intent was not to live here full time. It was to be here part time and still be in Philly, still be in some other places. But it was very intimidating. Like, how are we going to care for this house? We know how hard it is to care for our other homes. You introduced us to the BedBrock Concierge program, which was relatively new at the time. You said from the beginning, we want feedback. We have kinks to work out. We know that, but we need feedback. That program has worked great. And then over the past year and a half, really, we've been interacting a lot with Boston in that program. It's fun to watch him evolve and grow in that. So one, his communication, his responsiveness has been outstanding. Whether we're local and there's an issue that needs to be dealt with, or whether we're away and there's an issue that needs to be dealt with, their proactiveness with a lot of the different things. And the ability to save us from having to spend money to solve
problems. You know, we had a power outage and it caused some problems with the circuit breakers, and we got everything lined up and working, and still we couldn't get some things fired back up and working, you know. So, okay, well, I guess we got to hire someone to come out and look at it. Put a call into Boston first, and we said, you know, we had something like this similar, have another house after a power outage. I want you to do the following 3 steps first, and then call me back and let me know what you know it solved the problem, right? So there's that, also that institutional knowledge that he has with BedBrock properties that we get the benefit of because he's experienced things at other places. All the way down to, I come home some days and my trash can's already taken up for me because he was, or his team was driving by, saw it was emptied and just took it out. Little things.
How has all of this experience changed your feeling on real estate?
For me personally, it's made me feel like it's not an easy investment, but an investment that's worthwhile and that's fun, because we have a team behind us that knows what they're doing. They know how to handle the challenges that come up with the township or with the neighbors or with other things that can arise that we had no idea would be possibilities. And so it has made me very comfortable with trusting the process and trusting that the finished product will really provide us with good investment.
I think that's the key with most of it's trust, right? We've been wanting to do real estate for a long time, but we never felt comfortable because we didn't have someone we had trust or confidence in. So being able to live in one of the homes, not just experience the build, experience the commitment to the product after it was delivered, get to know you personally, get to know the project managers personally. That trust, to Melissa's point, makes it kind of a no-brainer. We have confidence in the team finding the right projects to invest in, not pushing us into a project that we're not comfortable with. And then once we find that right project, knowing that it's going to be executed to a certain level and in a certain time frame that gives us the sense of security for the money we're putting in that not only we'll get that money back in a timely fashion, but we'll, you know, participate in the upside.
If you were to describe BedBrock in 3 words, what would they be and why?
Well, we touched on one, trust. And
Absolutely.
that's the most important to me. I would also say excellence. And maybe the third one for me is pride. I can feel, I can't speak for Melissa, I can feel the pride that you and your team have in your product. All the way down to, as I said earlier, you know, even the punch list, right? Like seeing things we would have never saw, but someone knew it wasn't right. And it had to be right. That level of pride in craftsmanship is rare.
And I think also pride that we feel for having our name associated with this project. So you build such a beautiful home that we feel proud saying, yeah, we were part of that. We were, you know, part of the reason that that home was built, because we know it's going to be top-notch, luxurious, elegant, beautiful. And that's because of who BedBrock is.
Tony, Melissa, I'm humbled by your answers, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And it tells us that we're doing something right. We're trying, and we still have a long way to go. I always say that, you know, every day is a new day, and we have a lot of work in front of us, and we have to prove ourselves every day. So thank you for being here. So much appreciate this, and can't wait to start your next home.
We really enjoy working with you, Rich. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.